Hello everyone, welcome to Gungahlin Community Council April public meeting. We thank you that you were able to join. If you're streaming online, welcome to the public meeting. Sorry there was a hiccup with the technology and it looks like then there's a new app we are trying to learn as well. So thank you so much for joining tonight. Just want to give some housekeeping rules. If you're joining us for the very first time, please join our Facebook and YouTube for future streaming. You can also subscribe to the newsletters so that you could receive the email as needed from us. So thank you for joining us. Today we tried to have SLA, a Suburban Land Agency, but we've been chasing them for a few months. But looks like they may come maybe in the next couple of months to give an update on the Moncrief shops, what's happening there. So that would be a good update to have. We also trying to get the police, but we couldn't get anyone at this stage. But looks like there's a movement in the leadership in the police team in Gungahlin, so we couldn't get anyone for today. But we are aiming to get someone for the next meeting. So with the Moncrief updates, that would probably not from the SLA, that would come from the developer itself who are doing the Woolies supermarket there. So they will come and do a presentation, but SLA would do a presentation regards to what's happening around Gungahlin, and especially with the East, Gungahlin East precinct. That's what we were interested in. So we would try to engage with them possibly prior to that if possible, to make sure that we got that engagement going. So that's what it's happening. I just want to quickly jump into some of the things that we want to talk about tonight. Before we do that, I just want to thank Andrew Braddock, MLA RRB, for being here. And also we got Malcolm from the executive committee here. So thank you for coming along. So if you're new to this streaming, my name is Henley Samuel, President of Gungahlin Community Council. So today I want to talk about something that happened in the Legislative Assembly last month. So what that means to Gungahlin. You would have probably seen the post on our Facebook as well. So I just want to make sure that I will provide a quick update and what was happened. So on the 25th of March, 2026, there was a motion passed by, presented by Andrew Braddock regards to the Gungahlin Town Centre Economic Activation Motion, which was based on the Gungahlin Council evidence and the great work that Andrew did in producing that motion as well. So these are some of the demands that as a community we've been wanting to have for a long time. It also based on the survey that we all did in 2025 with a great response. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what has happened. So we wanted that, so this was based on the survey. I'll just give you the highlights of the survey. As per the survey, 91% of Gungahlin residents work outside the district. 82% want the government to attract more commercial business, and there's an ongoing frustration with the limited retail and no cinema and a weak nighttime economy. So this motion wanted the government to step in because this motion is also based on the evidence from ACT government's own Gungahlin East listening report, where it clearly says that the community want a shift away from the development that is mostly apartments and supermarket, and instead called for a better commercial mix, not just housing, a missing retail options with many residents, stores, like, for example, some of us probably said in the survey, like stores like JB I5, Office Works, Orby Norman. So that gives an ability to shop locally rather than spending the money outside Gungahlin. This also actively supports their economic growth and jobs, and also bring employment hub where a space for a federal agency, or it could be a private company to establish their place. So Gungahlin isn't just for sleeping; it also would be the place for activities for people to do. So they will have a social life balance as well. But unfortunately, I think this motion got diluted. Government brought some amendments with the other MLAs, with the support of other MLAs, including Arabi MLAs, excluding Andrew. Of course, he was the one who was putting this motion. So the government amendments were passed, and that's weakened the actual part of the motion. So clear direction to prioritize jobs and bringing that economical commercial growth has been diluted because of the amendments proposed by the government and supported by the opposition party, Liberal. So it was supported by the Liberal and the Labor. So which means strong action on long-term vacant sites cannot be enforced, to stop those long vacancy, those barren land where nothing is happening. For example, the cinema block, so diluted it. So now we can't put any strong action on those long-term vacant land. Also, accountability and urgency were reduced, delaying real outcomes for Gungahlin. So this means basically if that motion would have passed as it is, it would have brought security to the Gungahlin town center, where those lands would be properly used for the commercial purpose, and that would have brought more economical, activities in Gungahlin. Without strong enforceable commitment, now prime town center land risk being taken by more residential apartments. So if we don't speak up, we might end up having more residential apartments, which means there is less activity for commercial, which means less activity for the economical growth, which means the people in Gungahlin needs to travel somewhere for work. That means there's going to be more congestion, traffic problem, and all those other problems associated to those ones. And local jobs continue to lag behind the rapid population growth. So basically, now Gungahlin misses out on shops, entertainment, and real nighttime economy. And long daily commutes remains normal. So if you see our roads, it's already flooded during the peak times because everyone exodus from Gungahlin to other part of the Canberra region. So I urge everyone who's listening to my voice to take action. Tag your Arabi MLA. Ask them, send an email, maybe ring a phone call to Leon Castley, James Mulligan, Susan Orr, or Michael Patterson, or even to the Suburban Land Agency, ask for strong protection of commercial space in Gungahlin Town Centre. That's what we wanted. And real enforcement against long-term vacant development sites. So, the cinema, the issues like cinema vacancy, for the long time. Nothing is happening. The land was bought for a purpose and nothing is happening. So those could be prevented. And concrete steps to deliver local jobs, retail and employment hubs. That's going to bring more growth in Gungahlin, development in Gungahlin. If we have more jobs in Gungahlin, that means more family time for the people who lives in Gungahlin. So please do contact them. And they need to make decisions based on community evidence that we produce in the survey, along with the ACT government's own survey that they did. So it should be based on evidence rather than other principles or other commitments. It should be based on what the people of Gungahlin wanted. So we have to say loud and clear, we don't want more apartments. Obviously, we have more. We want jobs. We want retail. We want entertainment. And we want an active, vibrant town center where people could spend the money, where people could work, where people could invest, where this could be one of the investing hub for Australia, where people from interstate, people from international company could invest in Gungahlin. If we model Gungahlin really well, it could be a hub for many people, not just locally, but also internationally. So considering this is being diluted, the motion still passed with the diluted things. So where softened, things got softened, which means it limited the motion's ability to deliver the outcome the community has consistently asked for. So please do contact your local MLAs. If you really want more than apartments, and if you want job, if you want retail, if you want entertainment, if you want a town center that function as a true economy hub, please do contact your local MLAs. So this motion, they could probably come up with another motion to supplement this and fix the loopholes that's stopping Gungahlin to grow. I want to invite Andrew as well to talk about the motion and what happened on the Legislative Assembly, along with any updates that he might have. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Henley, and thank you for the Gungahlin Community Council, not just for regularly putting this forum on, which is a great opportunity for Gungahlin residents to learn more about what's happening in their district and to advocate for their needs, but also for your continued advocacy on this issue and on behalf of the needs of Gungahlin. The motion, as Henley mentioned, arose out of the feedback provided by over 1,200 Gungahlin residents as part of the Gungahlin Community Council survey. 1,300? Sorry, I undersold you. Which was a fantastic effort at collecting community input, which reflects the consistent view that we've heard from the Gungahlin community of they don't just want it to be a dormitory suburb. They want there to be a place where you can come together for social purposes, to work, to access the services that anyone in a town centre or a district of over 100,000 people should be able to expect to do. Now, Henley mentioned the disappointing aspects of the motion, where we were calling for prioritisation of employment opportunities in the areas to be released in Gungahlin Town Centre East, which unfortunately was voted down, which is extremely disappointing. And we want to hear you provide your feedback to your Yarrabee MLAs about that. There were some wins that we did achieve as part of that motion. So firstly, coming to the Gungahlin Cinema, that perennial issue that's been going on for a long period of time, where, just as an update for you, the developer of the cinema site is in breach of their lease conditions at this very moment. The problem being is the government, as part of its regulations, has a zero fee, a nil fee, for someone who is in breach of their conditions for the first 4 years. So in essence, there's no financial penalty for being in breach of your licence conditions. Fortunately, as part of the motion, they've recognised that that is an issue and not defensible, so they're looking at revising their planning regulations to ensure there is a financial penalty to developers who are basically sitting on land which the community should be able to enjoy the purpose for which it's been sold, i.e. a cinema. So we did achieve that. We did also achieve employment targets for the Gungahlin district, which I really want to see the government actually stop just applying a ACT-wide perspective to how it generates employment, but actually start to focus on the fact that not all town centres are created equal. Gungahlin Town Centre, the first town centre that was created after self-government, has lacked a major employer, and hence that economic activation that you see in older town centres. And so we need to be generating employment targets that assist Gungahlin so that people no longer have to leave the district every morning and cross the city just for the purposes of taking up work. We think there should be opportunities here. And this doesn't necessarily have to be the old ways of plonking a large federal government department down in each town centre. We need to be imaginative, whether it's retail offerings like Henley was mentioning, whether it could be services like aged care, or it could be smart working hubs, but ways that we ensure that we are not just a dormitory suburb, and we can actually get people to come on the light rail out here in the morning and come and enjoy the delights of the Gungahlin district. So those were 2 wins we secured, but yes, unfortunately we did not secure a change in a direction for the Suburban Land Agency releases in Gungahlin Town Centre East. So my fear is we are going to see too many mixed-use developments which consist of one layer of small retail offerings topped by a large number of residential apartment levels. Because unfortunately we've seen too many of those already in the Gungahlin district, where either the shops are vacant because they're not economically viable, because they're too small. There's no sense of place because most people have to leave the district in order to take up employment. So that's what was the reason for the motion and why we're doing it. Doesn't mean we won't stop fighting, but we need to get the other MLAs on board before we're in a position to move forward on that one. What I'll be doing also is looking at that Gungahlin Cinema site and whether we can actually call for what's called a controlled activity order, where you actually put in an application to ensure that lease conditions are applied. That's something I'm still exploring to see whether that can be done as a way of, whilst the government takes its time to amend its planning regulations, to see if we can see some sort of movement happening with that site. Whether that movement might be, well, I'd love to have a cinema there tomorrow or some form of development there tomorrow that has a cinema, or selling it to a developer who actually has the intent and the ability to deliver a cinema as soon as possible. Because I think it's quite unreasonable that Gungahlin residents have been waiting since about 2011, I believe was first promised for a cinema. Still waiting here in 2026, and it's just a vacant block of land. So those are sort of the key things I've been working on, and we'll start working on in the future. Oh, the other thing is, and I'll keep pushing for aged care. We need more aged care, and it's a way of generating employment and services here. So that's why I want to see more of that come into the Gungahlin district. I know it doesn't feel that relevant because we have quite a young population here in Gungahlin, but I can tell you there is an increasing demand for aged care here. And so I see that as an opportunity for us to move into. That's probably about it, unless there are any questions online or from the room.
So Andrew, in terms of next, it would be ringing those other MLAs and make sure that we fix the gap.
It's bringing pressure to bear on other MLAs, asking them to justify why they voted, how they voted. See if you can get them to a point where they agree that this is important and they need to stand up on behalf of their community. The other thing I forgot to mention is also please sign the petition, which I'm doing on behalf of the Gungahlin Community Council, which is about that cinema site as well. We need to generate community support and interest in it to help keep the pressure on the government on that. Otherwise, I'm just afraid that that interest will lapse and the developer will keep getting away with basically doing nothing with the block of land.
Thanks, Andrew.
No problem. Thank you very much and well done.
That's Andrew Braddock, MLA for Yarrabee. Just trying to look into the position where I can be seen in the camera. All right. So the next thing I want to quickly talk about before I jump into the topic, I just want to thank Andrew for putting that motion. And as you said, we had some wins there, but it's, in order for that wins to be completely achieved and able to run that system properly, then we need to fix the loopholes. We can't keep having those loopholes, otherwise the developer's gonna keep coming out with the mixed usage, and we all know that what's the mixed usage means for Gungahlin. It's basically a coffee shop with the big apartments on the top. So you don't want those kind of developments in Gungahlin. We need a proper business. As Andrew said, like aged care would be great. The hotels could be great. We need some kind of an employment thing that opens up. It's also not just good for Gungahlin, it's also good for the ACT and Australian economy. So we want things needs to be, made locally and or to be worked out locally. So that's what we are calling out. So in order to do that, as I mentioned before, you have to contact your local MLAs to make sure that they listen, because you have said your voice on the survey. You have also said what it means in the ACT government feedback survey. So we did all those things, but it's important for you to ring their office or contact them. And it brings me to the next thing. It's the survey that Andrew touched on it. So, we have a lot of people signed for the survey, which is great. So this is a survey about those delivery of the long-promised cinema in Gungahlin Centre. Some of the people, the most common question we've been asked, is cinema even relevant? Before we get into that question, we need to see the survey is not just about the cinema, it's also making a precinct to say that if someone bought a land for a particular purpose, that needs to be, that needs to be considered, and that they need to keep the word. That means that government needs to do compliance to make sure that land, whatever the reason it got sold for, whatever the zoning was, that zoning purpose needs to be met. So when you sign the petition, you are actually making a statement that you are supporting, if a land was sold for a particular purpose, that needs to be compiled for that purpose, so that we can avoid any of the future problem. It does sound like we want the cinema, which is true, but the main reason on that is also about telling the government, when the land has been sold for a particular purpose, that purpose needs to be catered for. And that's what it's missing. So that's what people said in our survey, that 67.3% said we want more entertainment service in the town centre. And that's one of the demand. And 74.6% in the survey are concerned on the ongoing delay in the cinema negatively, and it's also negatively impacting our the community and the local economy. This represents the clearest frustration. So it may seem like you've been doing surveys, every 6 months, but I urge you to consider this one and make sure you sign the survey. We will post the link to the petition for the cinema in our chat. So please do it. Once you have done, please share with your friends and family. The cinema, as you know, it was a promised ages ago, like around 2011, 2012. The land released was specifically done for this purpose. The worst case scenario, if they don't need to, if for whatever reason they say, oh, they can't build or it's not sustainable, that land doesn't belong to them if they can't do what they've been told that they going to do. So even if it's not sustainable for them, then they need to return the land. It cannot stay there. So despite there being multiple announcements starting from 2011 or 12, no meaningful construction occurred, even though work was meant to begin in 2020. Now we are in 2026 as I speak today. The site remains barren, fenced off block in the center of Gungahlin. That's like the center of Gungahlin is a kind of a key place where you don't want to, barren land sitting and doing nothing. It could have benefited many people. It could have brought many jobs into the town center. And as we all know, the Gungahlin is one of the fastest growing region, not just in ACD, but also in Australia. And this kind of barren land cannot stay barren in Gungahlin town center. Government needs to do some action. It's just wasting taxpayers' money. If you can't be protective on a particular land, and especially it's sitting inside the center, core, heart of Gungahlin, that means we are wasting the money. It could have been, invested properly. It could have been produced a lot of money. And residents are disadvantaged, not just by the local entertainment, but also infrastructure and also the jobs. And it's more than, decades now. So that's why we got this petition. And what we have in the petition, the key points: investigate and publicly report on the cause of prolonged delays. I don't see anywhere publicly why there was a delay and what's the reason. We don't know. So we want that to be open up and explore all available planning, contractual or legislative option to ensure the developer meets obligation or pursue alternatives. So we want this to be a precedent so no developers will, do these things, because the government has failed to do enforcement. I don't see, it's a one-side issue, it's a government issue. Basically, government fails to act on behalf of the community. So they need to commit to the clear, enforceable timeline for delivering the cinema, provide transparent communication to the community about the progress and obstacles. So we want to know, as a community, we need to know what government is working on, where they are up to, what is the timeline, how they're going to handle this, how they're going to avoid the future problem like this. So we need all those things. So that's why it's important that you support us as you supported always with this petition as well. We need at least 500 signature, at least minimum 500 signature to have our voice. And we also calling out, acknowledge that Gungahlin residents deserve equitable access to cultural and entertainment facilities. Now, this is one of the key things. As you know, Gungahlin is a very unique in nature compared to the other districts, and we need our residents in Gungahlin. You deserve equitable access to cultural and entertainment facilities. And also this petition is calling out to take regulatory compliance action to enforce the ground lease condition for the cinema site. So these are the basic, and I think you would all agree this is a common sense approach. So what do you need to do? All you need to do is to support, to ensure that ACD government upholds planning, delivery and compliance commitment. And that's what we can do just by signing that petition. It's not going to take too long. So maybe 2 minutes, just click the link and sign the petition. And that's what I want you to, focus on the petition. So please make sure that this is, as a priority, we do it. Also ring your local Arabi MLAs so that they know what matters to the community. So thank you, and I want to just quickly touch on one of those key topic that we might discuss for next month about the bulk billing options available in Gungahlin. So as a community, I don't see much of those things happening in Gungahlin at the moment, but we would love to see more of bulk billing options that's available in Gungahlin. That would be really good, because one of the key things is the health sector. We do have a nursing walking center, but we have to go to mostly to the Calvary Hospital, and we don't have much of the facilities. I think the bulk billing would be more of that, would bring down the emergency department timeline as well a bit down, because people are visiting the emergency, which is meant for a different purpose, because they couldn't find the bulk billing. So the bulk billing is one of the key things which we are exploring, and probably we'll talk about it in the next community meeting. And also want to, there's a after hours doctors, Claude, is it? What's it called? After hours GP. CAMS, yeah. So the after hour GPs, the CAMS, that we don't have that in Gungahlin. I think we should have one in Gungahlin. That would be really helpful. So we want to explore a bit. We started, some groundwork, so we will explore more and get into it. So next meeting, we're hoping to have some of the guest speakers come in, and we would like to, you will always invite the MLAs to our meeting. So if you're a Rabi MLA, please do come. This is the time, if you can, because the invitation has been sent in advance as well. So if you can put this in your calendar to make sure that you come and address the questions from the community, that'll be really helpful, so that we as the community can, as the representative, you would know exactly what the community needed and how you're going to deliver them, so that you'll be aligned with the community. And if you have any questions or something that you would like to bring it on one of our public meetings, please drop in the comment or send an email to us. We would love to address those as well. So once again, please remember to sign up on the petition regards to cinema. It's not just about the cinema, it's all about securing our land, protecting our land, and make sure that government enforce those rules and stuff. So thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you all in the next month. Until then, I'm signing off. Thank you so much. God bless. Good night.